So we're gonna run through the games pretty quickly. I know Arun saw all of them. I'll let him give a couple of quick thoughts on it. I'm not going to go through the entire scoring. Just going to go through the score and when it happened and get Arun's quick thoughts. So it will like rapid fire through these. All right, so Arun, the first game in the play-in tournament was between the Hawks and the Heat. The Hawks ended up winning that game 116-105, even though it was in Miami. They were able to take that first playoff spot and clinch that 7th seed on Tuesday. What were some of your thoughts on that game?
Um, Kyle Lowry had a huge game, but Miami kind of looked hungover. I don't know. Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo didn't really have good games, and the Hawks were able to knock down threes and upset the Heat for a road win.
All right, then the next game, also on Tuesday, the 11th. This was an overtime game where the Lakers were able to beat the Timberwolves in overtime, 108-102. What were some of your thoughts on this one?
Rudy Gobert was suspended, and the Timberwolves had a big lead going into the fourth quarter. But the Lakers, I believe, they held the Timberwolves to like 12 points, and the Timberwolves got lucky with kind of a bit lucky with an Anthony Davis foul, with to tie the game that sent the game into overtime. Mike Conley hit all three free throws, but the Lakers continued and they dominated in the OT. Rui had a big three, and the Lakers were able to pull out the win, even though they were overcame a big deficit.
Yeah. So LeBron had 30 and Anthony Davis had 24 in that game, and they both had double digits in rebounds as well. The next game was on the next night. It was Wednesday, April 12th. So this is a battle of the lower seeds, and where the winner would move on to play the losers of those previous games, and the loser is out. So in these Wednesday games, you got the Bulls going to Toronto and getting a big win and knocking Toronto out. What were some of your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, the Raptors had a big lead, but they gave it up. And DeMar DeRozan, he was traded from the Raptors to the Spurs, and he kind of got a bit of revenge against the Spurs. And what went viral was his daughter shrieking during the Raptors free throws. They missed half of their free throws. Um, Not cool for Toronto to send death threats to DeMar DeRozan's daughter, but um, she was probably a big reason for maybe the Raptors missing their free throws, and the Bulls were able to overcome a big deficit and win the game.
Yeah, that's crazy. And yeah, she went viral, but then a lot of, you know, during the game, there's a lot of positive things originally talked about, but then it kind of went negative, and it was just kind of interesting, a viral moment. And then he chose to not bring her to the second game because she had her own basketball game and he didn't want it to be a distraction, which, interesting knowing the results of that game now. But we'll get into that second game in a second. But let's talk about the last one of these elimination games, which was the Thunder going into New Orleans and getting a big victory. It's interesting that both of the road teams won these matchups, kind of speaking to the fact that you just need to get into that playoffs to be able to potentially win in to get into the next part of the round. It was a really high scoring game. This did not go to overtime, but Oklahoma scored 123 points to 118 for New Orleans. What were your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, another game. The Pelicans had a lead at halftime, but then Oklahoma City with Shea Gilgeous Alexander, he finally turned it up. Dort had a big game. Um, CJ McCollum for the Pelicans wasn't that good. Brandon Ingram was. Zion was obviously out. People are upset that he was doing warm up dunks, but I don't think he's healthy, and it's probably better that he doesn't risk a real serious injury, given that he hasn't played for a while. But definitely understandable why they're upset, because I think the Pelicans may have made like deep playoff run with Zion, but um, just seems like the Thunder were young and better and able to take advantage of the Pelicans.
Right. All right. So going back here to the last part of these three set of games in the play-in tournament. So this is the losers of the first game versus the winners of the second game. So in this one, both of the teams that were the losers of the initial games took those couple of days rest. Because remember, they had played on Tuesday and then played on Friday, and it seemed to serve them well. I know that the other teams had a day of rest. They didn't have to play Thursday, but just it seemed like the legs were very helpful, especially in that Timberwolves game, scoring 120 and only allowing 95. But let's talk about this Bulls Heat game first. It was pretty close, but you could kind of tell that the Heat took advantage early. The Bulls made a game of it, but then the Heat pulled away at the end. What are some of your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, Jimmy Butler finally came awake. I think maybe if they had lost this game, maybe that kicked up the sense of urgency for Miami, like 30 plus points, and Max Strus with the 31 point plus game. Hero and Bam were not really good, only 20 points combined for, I believe, two of the three highest paid players, but the Heat were able to just get enough done against the Bulls. I think the Bulls were winning at some point in the early first half, but then Miami just took control. And I think the home court, especially in the fourth quarter, when the Heat outscored them by 12, they actually were down in the fourth quarter by a point. So props to the Heat for, I think, would have been pretty disastrous for them to lose both playing games and miss the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure, because they were starting as the 7th seed. So can you imagine? So that would have definitely been big. Let's talk about that Timberwolves Thunder game, where it was very close early on. Timberwolves took a decent sized lead going into halftime, extended it in the third and extended it in the fourth. For a pretty sizable victory in the end. They had a lot of double-digit scores in this one. What were some of your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, the Thunder, they lost Chet Holmgren. I think they're only really big men in this series, and Dort had 17 points, but that wasn't enough. And I think Shea got hit in the face at some point. He kind of wasn't the same after that. And I think the size of the Timberwolves, even though it hasn't helped them be that much better overall, like Gobert and Towns' size kind of overwhelmed the OKC's lack of size, and they out rebounded them, and they won by 25 points.
Yep. All right. So now we got into the real playoffs. So the first game that happened was the 76ers beat the Nets 121 to 101. That was on Saturday. What were your thoughts on game one in that series?
It was a close game at halftime, but the Sixers' three-point shooting was too much. Mikal Bridges had a good game, but uh, it wasn't really close, and the Sixers just killed them, kind of like they did tonight as well.
Yeah. The Celtics beat the Hawks 112 to 99 to continue the dominance of the home teams.
Yeah, the Celtics were up by like I believe 30 points, and then the Hawks kind of made it close in the fourth quarter, but mostly with Trae Young out, and it's kind of a bad matchup for him. And the Celtics wings Tatum and Brown dominated, and they were able to win.
Next, you got the Knicks playing the Cavaliers. This is the first time that a road team got a win here. Some good play from the Knicks, who started off strong, and they kind of held on throughout. The Cavaliers made a game of it at the end there, outscored them in the fourth quarter, but the Knicks were able to hold on for that 4-point victory. What were your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, two Villanova players were key. Actually, in this game, two of the three best players for the Knicks, Jalen Brunson, he was in foul trouble the first half, but I believe he had 18 to 20 points in the second half. And Josh Hart, he was a player in the first half, and I think he was like 8 of 12 or something ridiculous. And although he's going to be out for game two with an ankle injury, the Knicks battled them on the boards. And being the slight underdogs, they were able to pull out the win. And I guess we're getting to a lot in upcoming games or the road teams are going to start winning some games.
Yeah. All right. The next matchup, the Kings beat the Warriors. This was a close one. They beat them 126 to 123 in a really high scoring affair. With both teams scoring above 25 points in every quarter, including over 30 in many of those quarters. What were your thoughts on this high scoring game?
Yeah, I think Fox and Malik Monk became the first teammates from college and doing in the pros to have 30 plus points each since Hakeem Olajuwon and Clyde Drexler of the Houston Rockets. Warriors did get Wiggins back after a 2 month absence. He looked pretty solid. Missed a couple key threes late in the game, and Curry missed three to potentially, I think it was to tie the game. It was like kind of a floater three. Kind of had a really good look, but he missed. This is going to be a really good series.
Yeah, and so that series, as you can see above us in the live scoreboard right now, is very close as well. I don't have the game on live, but the Google says it's 40-31 that the Kings are leading the Warriors, but I'm sure that that score is slightly outdated. But and either way, it's going to be a great series between these two teams. Let's get into the next one, which was the Lakers and the Grizzlies, another road team getting the victory in the Lakers here. The Lakers have come on really strong in the second half of the season, winning the play-in one. They had sort of surged up the standings. If people don't remember, early on the season, they were on the outside looking in before the trade deadline, but they made some decent moves and they were able to make a good run out of it. They had a really good first quarter. Grizzlies had a dominant second quarter, but then the Lakers turned around and dominated the third and fourth. What were some of your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, the lack of size for the Grizzlies was showing. Steven Adams and Brandon Clark, actually Rui Hachimura's teammate, and Rui went off in this game. He had 29 points, so I think he had like 4 or 5 threes in the second half, and actually outscored LeBron James. And Austin Reeves also with the big game. He actually also outscored LeBron James with 23 points, the undrafted player from last year. And just too much size. John Morant also got injured. It was a 103 to 102, and then the Lakers closed out a 16-0 run or something ridiculous, and that was the game. And yeah, this I don't know. Maybe if Ja comes back, they could compete, but the Lakers definitely look like the favorites now.
Which is interesting, since they're the lower seeded team. But kind of the team that I'm rooting for at this point, just because I don't have a whole lot of teams that I like. I wouldn't mind the Knicks doing well, coming out of the East. I know I have a lot of friends that are Knicks fans, and it's been a while since they've done well. So those are kind of the teams that I'm looking to a little bit. The next game is the Heat versus the Bucks. This was kind of a surprising one to me. The Heat, who had been struggling so much in the play-in tournament and couldn't get things done, really kind of dominated this Bucks team. They started off strong, scored 33 in the first, 35 in the second, 34 in the third, and then had their lowest scoring one, but still 28 points in the fourth. What were your thoughts on this surprising, at least in my mind, win for the Heat over the Bucks?
Yeah, the big story coming out of this game is Giannis Antetokounmpo getting an injury, back contusion. He came back in the first half, but then he didn't return in the second half at all. So Milwaukee, yeah, they were still dominating the first half, but at least the Bucks were able to kind of keep it close, and they might be without Giannis. Who knows if they're out without him for the rest of the series? Miami may become the favorites, but if Giannis comes back, then obviously the Bucks may go back to being the favorites to coming out of the East, just to show that anything can happen in the playoffs. Jimmy Butler was great. Kevin Love, I don't know, he had like 4 or 3s. It was ridiculous, and good game by the Heat. And it's weird that they won by double digits after struggling in the play-in, like you just mentioned.
Yeah, I'm happy to see Kevin Love finally finding a spot that's, better for him, I think, in this team. I just feel like he just never seemed to really fit in with the Cavaliers in the way that was hoped for by them, I think. I don't know. I just think he needed to change the scenery big time. And so I'm happy to see that he was able to do that and was able to take advantage
Oh
of
yeah, and just one more thing I forgot to mention: Tyler Hero for the Heat. He's actually out for the rest of the series, so it's kind of weird thing. Injuries hitting both teams, so
and,
definitely
and I
kind of
missed it.
crazy.
What happened to Giannis in this game?
Went and drove for a layup, and I think somebody took a charge. I forget who it was, and he landed on his back and had a back contusion. He came back for a couple minutes, kind of looked okay, but then didn't return in the second half at all. And Tyler Hero injured his hand, his wrist, just diving, falling down on the ground. And so Miami, if they win this series, they're probably I don't see them getting much further without Hero. Although who knows? They did take the Celtics 7 games last year, but I don't think it's pretty bad for both teams to have injuries like that.
Yeah, interesting. All right. So It's the Heat Bucks game, and then the Clippers Suns game. So this is another road team, and the Clippers getting a big victory. They kind of struggled down the stretch a little bit in this season. The Clippers had been doing better earlier on in the season. They made a couple of trades, but at the very end of the season, they kind of righted the ship a little bit. But I was still surprised to see this win over the Suns. What were some of your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think the first couple minutes watching this game, I thought the Clippers looked like they were more cohesive than the Suns because I think even though the Suns are 8-0 since they've acquired Kevin Durant, um, it's different playing in the playoffs, and I think the Clippers have been together a bit longer. Russell Westbrook was 3 of 19 from the field, but he had a really big impact defensively and actually hit 2 free throws to really clinch the game for the Clippers, and Kawhi Leonard with 38 points was the player of the game. I think the Suns need to go more to Durant, and Ayton kind of struggled, and Chris Paul, I think he had like 11 rebounds, but he didn't really look like himself. Age is kind of showing. Maybe Westbrook was giving him problems, and Devin Booker, 26 is pretty good for most players, but he should probably have more than that, especially if like Russell Westbrook is guarding him.
Yeah, it's interesting that it's Westbrook versus Chris Paul. I just think that's such an interesting
Yeah,
matchup.
Westbrook versus Chris Paul and Kevin Durant, so,
Yeah,
and it's kind of
so
crazy.
it's just the whole thing is crazy in the NBA. But definitely an interesting series to check out and to watch more of. All right, so then sorry, we're
And
here.
Timberwolves Nuggets, that was kind of a blowout. Not much to really talk about. Just I think the Timberwolves are really this. I mean, the Nuggets are really bad matchup for the Timberwolves, given that near the bigs can really guard Jokic, and just the Timberwolves had a couple injuries. Their one guy punched the wall and broke his hand, and Naz Reid is out for the season, so their lack of depth showed up. And Kyle Anderson actually almost got into a fight with another guy in the Nuggets. He didn't really even react, which is kind of funny. But I think this is probably might be the only series. Maybe Hawks Celtics that'll be a sweep, but this is also looking like the Nuggets will sweep the Timberwolves.
All right, and then the Nets play the 76ers tonight. The 76ers kind of dominated a little bit, and they take a 2-0 series in that. What are your thoughts on today's game?
Yeah, the Nets kind of surprised me in the first half because they had a lead in the first half, but I think uh, the 76ers made some adjustments. Tobias Harris got a lot of baskets at the rim. Relatively low scoring game, 96 to 84. The Nets probably they had 50 points at halftime, but only 34 points in the second half, and that's not going to get it done. And Spencer Dinwiddie was pretty awful. He's been making some weird comments about the Wizards recently, but it's not looking good for him these last 2 games. He called himself a Drew Holiday kind of player. That's definitely not showing up in these first 2 games. And even though Mikal Bridges, he was drafted by the Sixers, traded on draft night, and his mom actually worked for the 76ers. He's having a good series as well as Cam Johnson tonight, but the Nets lack of more help.
Right. And then the last game is the Kings are now pulling away a little bit from the Warriors here in the second quarter. Right now, the scoreboard here says 47-38 with the Kings in the lead. Well, I think this will be still an interesting series. I wouldn't be surprised if the Warriors, win some of those home games and come back and make this a series. What are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I think the Warriors defense was really doing well in the first quarter. I think at one point they had held them to 17 points. That I think right now the Kings have gotten on fire. I think with Steph Curry on the bench for whatever the reason, maybe it's Jordan Poole playing defense, or I don't know, the Kings were able to get on a run. Malik Monk really looking good. And I think the Warriors, they'll probably come back to make this game close, but I don't think they want to be down 2-0. Wouldn't rule them out of the series, but it would be ideal for them to try to gain some confidence and win on the road because it'll be kind of tough for them to win all their games in Golden State. So they definitely want to try to get a win here.
Right. All right. Well, just real quickly, the Hawk Celtics series will continue tomorrow at 7. The Knicks Cavaliers will continue at 7:30. The Clippers Suns will continue tomorrow at 10. The Lakers Grizzlies will be on Wednesday at 7:30. The Heat versus the Bucks will be at 9 on Wednesday, and then at 10 on Wednesday the Timberwolves play the Nuggets. And then Thursday we got Sixers versus Nets at 7:30. The night game at 10 o'clock will be Kings Warriors. And then 10:30, the Suns will play the Clippers. And then Friday, the Celtics will play at the Hawks. That'll be a 7 o'clock game. Also on Friday, the 8:30 is the Cavaliers Knicks, and the 9:30 is the Nuggets Timberwolves. And then the rest of the games that will be on Saturday. The Sixers will play the Nets again in their game 4. The Suns will play the Clippers on Saturday at 3:30. That'll be their game 4. The game 3 for the Bucks and the Heat will be at Saturday at 7:30, and then the game 3 for the Grizzlies and the Lakers will be at 10. And then the last ones of the weekend will be on Sunday. The 1 o'clock game is the Cavaliers Knicks. The Sunday at 3:30 will be the Kings Warriors. The Celtics play the Hawks at 7 on Sunday, and then the Nuggets play the Timberwolves as the last game of the weekend at 9:30. So next week, I don't know if we'll go through all the games. We'll probably just quickly go through each of the series to say where they're at, and give people a preview of what's to come in that one. But thank you, Arun, for helping us break down the series so far, the play-in tournament. I really appreciate all of that. Any final thoughts, Arun, before we let you go?
I just saw that Shaq got served in the FTX lawsuit, so some weird NBA news. But I guess maybe, I don't know, they're trying to associate all the people that endorsed FTX in some class action lawsuit. So kind of interesting that he's potentially in court because of that. But other than that, just looking for great playoff series, and probably going to try to catch the Defenders this weekend as well.
Sounds good. All right. Well, thank you, Arun. Appreciate it as always. Carol, I think we'll stop the audio feed of this podcast. So I'll let you do your outro, and then I'll stop that, and then you could jump off of the Zoom and do whatever post you want to do on your end for that. But let everyone know any final thoughts and wrap up, and then next week we'll definitely have more Defenders, Nats, and we'll do more abbreviated NHL and NBA playoff updates as well.
Yeah, it's like I say, going through transition, things are changing. You will see me more things about like I say, just stay tuned. Things are moving around, things are changing, locations changing, the lab is changing. The whole platform is going to be changing. So just stay tuned. Season 8, I hopefully have the video for the new season up and running next week. I just downloaded it to my phone so I can edit the video now. So I should have it uploaded by next week for next episode. I should be back around. I will be taking, just to give you a little nugget of what I got going on, I will be taking my life insurance test next week to be licensed in Maryland and Virginia. So you will be seeing, I always promote my business ventures when I was in car sales and HVAC sales. Now I'm going into life insurance sales and securities and financial planning, which is something we all could use, especially folks in my community. So be on the lookout. There are going to be some new pages coming out, new videos coming out, talking insurance, talking health insurance, life insurance, and financial planning for, a lot of folks on my page that might be going through financial difficulty. So I've gone through some and luckily been able to rebound, but everybody isn't that lucky. So, stay tuned. You'll see some things changing, coming out with my official, once I get my license. That'll be next week. Once it's official, you'll see the post and everything. But just putting that nugget out there, something y'all be on the lookout for. SportsOTHP in the community segment will be coming to fruition soon. So, stay tuned for so much more. Robbie got his things going on Twitch and, growing his nation over there. I have some things I'm about to start growing and, be on the lookout. I'm also opening up my social media consulting business. I have a client that I meet with on Wednesday. For anybody that's tuned in, that's looking to, help add to their social media presence or videos or anything I'm working up on a price list, and have a meeting on Wednesday with my first client. Close that deal, set things up, keep you posted, see how that goes. And if you like what you see, feel free to hit me up. We go over it and help boost your views, your content, your pages, whatever you need to do. That's what we're here for. We've been doing it for a while. We know what we're doing. Might not have a degree in it, but damn it, I'm pretty good at what I do.
Sounds good. All right. Well, with that, I'm going to end the audio podcast and say that we're DC Sports Without the Politics, Sports on the Hill podcast, and we'll be back with more stuff next week. If you want to stay tuned to Carol's feed, he'll have his whatever outro that he wants, and I will be picking a raid target on mine. But I'm going to end our audio podcast there.
Recording stopped.
I'm not doing nothing, Robbie. I am watching a little bit of this basketball, and I'm going to bed. It's been a long day. It's going to be a longer day tomorrow. It's going to be a long week. So
Good.
I'm not playing no videos. I'm not doing anything. I'm just signing off. Appreciate y'all checking this out. As he said, DC Sports Without the Politics. It's not just a catchphrase. It's not just a motto. It's what we do. CP3, live from the Almost Lab. Be back at you next week, or maybe sometime during the week. You never know. But stay tuned. And I'm out.
All right. Well, we are going to continue to look for a quick little raid target on our end. Thank you, Carol and Arun, and Champ as well. And then we had Gil and C4 on earlier. So I appreciate everyone for tuning in and also going through all our technical difficulties. The auto podcast might be slightly delayed, but I will try to get it up soon. But thank you everyone for sticking with us and joining us. Oh, hey, Hurricane Andrew. I'm sorry I didn't see you. We were just finishing up, but you can join us for the raid as well. Appreciate you for tuning in and being a part of it. If anybody has any ideas of who they would like to raid, you can feel free to shout them out in chat. I'm taking a quick look here. Maybe we'll go visit our friend Cliff Stallings Music. He's pretty cool. I've always been a big fan of his. Just looking through here to see if there's anybody else that we should raid. Yeah, why not? Why don't we do Cliff? We'll grab him stuff right there. So we'll raid over to Cliff Stallings Music and sub raid and raid calls. And I'm gonna go feed my cat in a second. But yeah, just grab a raid call. We're gonna go over and visit our friend Cliff. He does music. He also does some Dead by Daylight streams and things of that nature. Appreciate everyone for tuning in to episode 306 of Sports on the Hill podcast. I will try to extract the audio from a different feed, and that should be up hopefully still tomorrow. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Hope you guys all have a great night. Thank you for all the lurkers and everyone for being a part of Team Sports on the Hill podcast. We will be back next week. We will be covering the Defenders' last regular season game. We'll talk about the Nationals week. We'll also briefly talk about the playoffs in both the NHL and the NBA as well. And then on May 1st, we'll have our 2-year affiliate stream. So that'll be art for an hour, sports for an hour, and then art to finish it. So it'll be a little bit of a different show for that one as well. So hope to see you guys over the next couple of weeks. Thank you again for tuning in. We will see you guys all soon. Let's go Nets and let's go Defenders, and we'll talk to you next week.